This one's going to be a bit of fun. We've got a lot going on here. The angle of the building's a little bit out. When I started this series for fixing photos, one, I didn't realize how many outdoor buildings and sheds I'd use, and I'm looking to mix it up again in future videos so we can have more options to work with. But this is exactly the type of challenge I wanted to undertake. A beautiful building that's been hand-built, put into situ, but the only time the team had to take the photo was when they erected it, because they don't have the budget to go back and take a photo 6-12 months in, because they're already moved on to the next project. And this is a good real-world challenge that we have. Okay, we could say that they could have moved the tool bench and the vehicle door to make my job a little bit easier. Yeah, let's not worry too much about that. That just creates more of a challenge. I'm probably going to use the heel tool to see how that works to get rid of this door. I'll make it big enough size, and I'm just going to paint it over top of that door, just to see if we can get rid of it completely, or at least close enough. It's not bad. We can tidy up that fence, I hope. And yeah, let's get rid of some of the other glaring aspects in this photo to give ourselves a better starting canvas. Likewise with this workbench. How much manual fixing am I going to have to do later? Again, not perfect, but it's made it a little bit easier to work with. I think I can take some of the other aspects and bring them in. So let's start doing this with the clone stamp tool. So I'm going to take this timber here, align it. Get those lines nice and straight in there. And repeating patterns are always the best to work with. I'm using the clone tool, just bringing it on a little bit, then onto the next part. But we can see here that the line's not going at the right angle. So this is the first thing we have to do, is just to get that angle right. This isn't going to be perfect. But if we can get it close enough that we can't really tell, especially when we're zoomed out, that's good enough for me here. It's still taking a photo that's pretty much unusable in this aspect to showcase what can be done, to taking something that is pretty usable. So I'm using the lines as a starting point and just working across. This is one of the most enjoyable jobs I can do these days. I find it therapeutic, just going in and fixing photos. Probably says a lot about me and the exciting life I lead. I'm going to try and get this line working and fix again at the bottom here. I don't quite know how I'm going to do that yet. I think that's been added in by the heel tool. I think the line is more like that, actually. So let's fix this first. That door's not perfect, but I think we're going to leave it there for now and focus on some other aspects of this building. So next up, we're going to fix this lawn here at the front. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. And we'll flatten image. And we'll go again with the same tool. This time we're just going to put grass. So I want it all to be grassed over. So I could have just re-rolled a few times with the generator fill tool. But let's see if we can get this nice and balanced. It can be more field than immaculate lawn at this stage. It's something we just don't want it detracting away from the building itself. And I don't really want anything in front of it. Keep thinking I want to put some sort of concrete pad or patio in front of it. I think we'll go with that. And I think what we'll do is what I do on every other photo that I edit here. So there's a telltale giveaway. We're going to put a hedge on the left. Or we could try wooden fence and see what it does for that. So I'm going to bring in more of the hedgerow in the background. Goodness knows what this fence is going to be like, but we'll give it a go. And it's done a hedge. Okay, I think that one looks pretty good. That doesn't look realistic, and that looks awful. So I think we're going to go with yet another hedge. It looks natural there. It fits nicely with the photo, at least in my opinion. I suppose my opinion counts here. And we're going to take this grass up to the edge now before we start tidying it up. Right, so we're going to start working on this in the foreground. Just go to the heal tool first and take out some of the aspects. Let's flatten that layer down. So we're going to make it look a little bit more presentable. Now we can look at this brush tool and we're going to bring it up the way to the edge of the building, which is just the clone stamp tool once more. Okay, that's looking a bit better. We're going to have a really straight line here, which we're going to get rid of afterwards and just make that look a little more realistic. And if we go to the sponge tool, we're going to saturate this by 10%. A little bit more life. In fact, I'm not going to do that. We're going to use the brush tool. And we're going to select some of this green in here and just paint over it. Give it a bit more impact. And then we're going to go to the hue option here, take it over to the greener and just take the saturation down a tiny bit. It's become too heavily saturated. And the lightness down a bit as well. Okay. So that's looking neater, but it's looking a bit too immaculate there to the bottom of a building. We're going to need a bit of a shadow there or something just to lift it above it. So one way we could do that is to use the burn tool. And let's go to the shadows. Let's take this up to something like 30%. And we can see now that's added a little bit of depth there in front of it. This is not a perfect solution. This is just me trying to find the balance between speed and making the building better presented. It's a beautiful building and we want to show it off a little bit more than obviously taking a very quick photo before leaving. And now what I'm doing is just fiddling it around a little bit so it's not going to be a straight line. This is really a bit of a hack, to be honest. But when we zoom out, we don't see that. We see shadows on the hedgerow and it looking better. If we find it's a bit too saturated now when we use the burn tool, what we can do is the sponge tool and then the desaturate option. And it takes it back a little bit. I don't think I'm going to spend much more time, if I'm being honest, on this one. fix a bit of this lawn up a little bit so it looks a bit neater. And what I'm going to do next is take these windows and just see if I can use the heal tool. Quite a small brush size. I'm going to paint it round to take out that square if I can. If it's close enough, I'll go with it. You still see the outline there a little bit, which is a shame. Another option, we could use the clone tool. Don't take it over too far. There we go. Clone tool does a slightly neater job. Okay, we've got the van in the background. So it's up to us how much we want to take that out. At this level, it's not really obvious. What we can do, though, is use this marquee tool and select all of the windows. And if I hold Shift, we can select another level here. And another shape here again. For the sake of a couple of minutes, just to select all of these windows, I think it'll be worth it. Command L to go to levels. And I'm going to make all the windows darker. Bring the whites back so that they're not anywhere near as bright. But getting the balance right. We don't want it too dark so it looks unrealistic. But we're doing the same for the door as well, so it looks like it's tinted glass. What we can do now is, before actually deselecting that, I go to Command U, and then we're going to take the saturation right down so that those red bits there aren't coming through as obvious. And I think she's someone climbing there. So let's go to the heal tool and take out these lines here and blur it out slightly. There's also the blur option as well. So we can go to the blur. I think that brush size is huge, so I just need to bring that down. Strength 100% and just blur within this window a bit. Okay, so that glass still looks relatively realistic, but now it's not picking up anywhere near as many of the imperfections around it. Let's just take the sponge tool now and saturate this sky. Give it a bit more color here at the top. And what we're going to do is go to the dodge tool. And we're going to midtones, and we're going to lighten the midtones a little bit on this tree so it doesn't look quite so dark. Balance it out. We're going to burn the shadows in the foreground, about 10%. Go with 12, just in the foreground here. And then go to levels, and we're just going to tweak the entire photo. Give it a bit more punch. Filter to sharpen the edges. And oh, I did say we're going to rotate it slightly so it doesn't look like it's sloping back so much on an angle. We're just going to do this a slight amount though. So if I click and grab the edge, just bring it over 1. Press enter. What it's going to use now is the generative tools here to tidy up where it's readjusted it. I'm going to flatten down that image. And there we go. Oh, there's a bit in there that I need to get rid of. So let's just see if we can heal this before wrapping up. Should really be zooming right in and doing that properly, but that looks better. So there we go. If we look at the original, really busy, so much going on around it. We wanted to just simplify it, streamline it, get rid of all of the reflections in the glass, get rid of the things in the foreground. And if we have a look at the final version, I think this looks natural enough. The hedge isn't pristine. Still the same trees in the background. It's got a bit more color as well, more punch to it. Yeah. Of all the ones I've done, I think this is one I'm the happiest with. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'm going to come back with some more, and we'll try and mix it up as well in the next few videos. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.